What's good, everybody? It's your boy Big Nate. Welcome to Big Nate's Book Reviews, some of the best book reviews, and today we are reviewing The Odyssey by the one, the only Homer. So I got my doobie right here. It is ready to be sparked, and today we are smoking this one for Homer. So we are gonna get right into it. But what's up, everybody? How we been doing? I've been gone for a few weeks. Needless to say, it's been a hectic month, and then I got back, and then the term started, and this, that, and the other. But your boy's back. Really, he never left. You can't be back if you never left. But yeah, the instant I get this doobie sparked, we're gonna really go ahead and get into it. So, The Odyssey. Truly the book that needs no introduction. This is one of the oldest and one of the most famous texts in all of the history of the world. In terms of fame and of influence, I would say this book is second only to like literally the Holy Bible, just because you can't really out fame or out influence the Bible. Like wars have been fought over that shit. But aside from that, the Bible don't even count as a book, bro. I mean, it does, but you know what I'm saying. Aside from that, the Odyssey I think is one of the most famous literary texts of just all of history, and it's certainly older than the Bible as well. This book was written somewhere around 800 or 700 BC. It's so old, it's like so ancient that we're like not even sure really. There's like a ton of historical information that we actually know nothing about. Like we actually know very little about who Homer was. He might have been a collection of people. Was he blind? Was he not? Was this told orally? Was this told written? What was the story there? But yeah, so this book is literally nearly almost 3,000 years old, like 3 millennia old, bro. Like to the point where there have been straight geologic shifts to the earth that have taken place since the Odyssey was written. And just like for perspective, United States of America was formed when 1700, 1500, let's say 1500 max. So that's what, like 500 years, dude. That's nothing. We're talking about the Odyssey is nearly 3,000 years old. So just to really like perspective ties it. Yeah, I said that. Perspective ties it. This is an old ass book. Anyway, and what's even more crazy about the Odyssey is that ever since it was written, like again, literally nearly 3 millennia ago, it has been taught. Ever since it was written, it has been taught in schools. Even in ancient ass Greece, they were teaching the Odyssey in their educational institutions. Like Plato, like Aristotle, Plato. Who was the other one? Socrates. Who was Plato's master or like apprentice, or he was the apprentice to, forget it, bro. But he said that Homer is the one who has taught all of Greece. So anyway, way fucking old. And it's been being taught. It's been taught as a text to be studied and analyzed and revered for all that long, and then through the Middle Ages, through the Renaissance, through the Enlightenment, through whatever other eras there have been, all the way up until the modern day, where this book is still being taught in high schools. In fact, it's like it's one of the most necessary readings. I didn't have to, but I'm also like number 48 in the country for schools. But I'm willing to wager that half the people watching this at least have had to have read the Odyssey in high school or college. So anyway, needless to say, because the book is so old and because the book is so good and because it's been taught like literally throughout the ages, this book has had tremendous literary influence. Like honestly, I almost feel like it's safe to say the Western canon would not exist as it currently does without Homer. But just literally some random notable, that's what we'll call some notable examples. Dante Alighieri's Inferno, Dante's Inferno. Odysseus is a character. I don't know if he's like a prominent one, but he's definitely featured in. Although I haven't read it, to be honest, but I know this. Odysseus is featured in it, and Dante Alighieri, writer of the entire Divine Comedy, said that Homer is the king of all poets. So we got that. James Joyce's Ulysses. Like Ulysses is literally the Roman version of Odysseus. It's as if James Joyce's Ulysses was named Odysseus. And Joyce, like Ulysses is, you know, love it or hate it. And it seems like there's more people that hate it than love it. But its impact and its influence on subsequent writing is undeniable. So Ulysses itself is considered a foundational, like seminal, influential text, and it's literally basically named Odysseus. Like, so we have that. We have people like Faulkner. I did a review on this one, As I Lay Dying. Heavily influenced. It's almost like the road trip version of the Odyssey plus like Southern Gothic. Yeah, that's As I Lay Dying, and I'm not sure, but I could have swore I saw a quote somewhere that said something like William Faulkner, or like Faulkner read the Odyssey like he read, like people read the Bible, which is just to say like he read it like religiously. It's a text that he like respects, reveres. Anyway, so therefore also Sing Unburied Sing. I kind of feel like Sing Unburied Sing is As I Lay Dying plus Beloved combinedified. But yeah, obviously it had Sing Unburied Sing, this epic format, this almost epic again road trip format. It takes like anything like, so that, and then just a lot of contemporary examples as well, right? We got Margaret Atwood, the Penelopiad. Margaret Atwood is the one who did Handmaid's Tale. She wrote the Penelopiad, which is, as I understand it, the Odyssey told through the perspective of Odysseus' wife, Penelope. There is Madeline Miller. She has Circe, who was the goddess who turned Odysseus. Circe is popping right now too. It's been popping. The god who turned half of Odysseus' men to swine. It's the Odyssey told through her perspective. Song of Achilles. That one's obviously going to detail more so the Iliad because it's Achilles. But as I understand it, Odysseus is a prominent character in that. I haven't read it, but as I understand, he is a prominent character in that. Those are just some contemporary examples, and that's just to name literature. That's not to mention music, not to mention film, not to mention art. All of who prominent works and all of those have had like been explicitly have referenced the Odyssey, even in music and shit, and definitely art. Like you've probably seen some famous art depictions of anyway, the book is the shit, you know what I'm saying? It's historically the shit, and you're now about to get the Big Nate book review on it. So let's talk about the book, the Odyssey. What is the Odyssey actually about? You can say a lot of things, but to me I would say the Odyssey is the story of Odysseus' 10-year voyage home from Troy back home to Ithaca, because he had just in the Iliad fought 10 years in Troy, and now the Odyssey spans the 10 years following after the war of Troy to get home to Ithaca. And it takes him 10 long years. And in the meantime, back home in Ithaca, his wife Penelope is just there are just dozens of suitors after her, just trying to take her hand in marriage. Okay, sparked. Dozens of people trying to get her hand in marriage. In the meantime, they're slaughtering all of Odysseus' oxen, his goats. They're taking all the choice cuts of meat and roasting them on his spits, bro, literally. And drinking his wine, his heady wine, and just like they're literally just like crashing there all day, eating like and just trying to holler at his wife, who as far as she knows, Odysseus is dead. It's been 10 years. This woman is faithful. Shout out to Penelope. She a real one holding Odysseus down. And then you got Telemachus, who is Odysseus' son, who he left as a newborn, and at this point is 20 years old, but not quite come of age to where he can get his house back in order. Everyone, but there's a spark there, and you know that's a whole aspect of it. But everyone needs Odysseus to get home, set things straight, and that is essentially the story of the Odyssey. It's him trying to get back home to Ithaca. So on his way home to Ithaca, he encounters a lot of let's say trials and tribulations. But one of the things that Odysseus has to deal with during the Odyssey, and why I think I actually like the Odyssey more so than the Iliad, this is one of the reasons, because I've read them both, and I like the Odyssey better. It's because the Odyssey is it's this world filled with mythical beasts and monsters and creatures, and whether it's these freaking island of Cyclopses, Titan, Man Mountain, gargantuan human, they're not human, but like humanoid Cyclops, just towering over trees. For their firewood, for their supper fire, they have logs, actual logs, and they have see, dude, this is some Homer shit right here. His cave that he lives in, the front boulder, like the front door, Homer said 22 wagons going full tilt wouldn't make that shit budge. And this is their front door. So just these and Odysseus and his men get trapped on that island. We have the famous Scylla and Charybdis, that dynamic duo. Scylla with her nasty 12 writhing, disgusting, ugly legs, and her six nasty, horrific, hideous heads with triple rows of fangs, thick set, packed tight, armed to the hilt with Black Death. Yeah, that one. Charybdis, or rather Scylla. And then there's Charybdis, who is like this embodiment of this like fierce whirlpool, and Odysseus has to traverse through them both, only way possible. We got that. And then you have like the famous sirens, whose voice is so irresistible. If you hear it, you just can't help but do it. And they've killed droves of men. You got the underworld. There's just a lot of mythical fun shit taking place. And that's like fundamentals of this book. I feel like that's basically all throughout the whole story, is this aspect of mythical Odysseus going toe to toe with mythical monsters and beasts. Bam. Next, this is like a day and age where people are like built different. Like, and Homer was doing that. I think he was kind of actually going nostalgic for a society of old, where basically people were. This is a time where honor and bravery and courage and valor, all of these things, glory, all of these things are among the highest moral virtues, and these are things that ought to be strove towards. Odysseus, half his little tagline is, whose fame is known from like the depths of Argos to Olympus on high, some shit like that. And speaking of Odysseus, he's the perfect example of this, and one of my, because he's just exhibiting that mentality all throughout the book. And one of my favorite parts is when, and it's just a great example of this, is when he's trapped on that fucking island of Cyclops. And long story, so no spoilers in this book, by the way. I'm pretty sure Greek text, as I understand it, they can't be spoiled. In fact, you're actually kind of supposed to know the plot going into a Greek text, I think. But I'll just keep the details to a minimum. They escape the Cyclops through this like ingenious, it's Odysseus, master tactician. So they escape the Cyclops in like this ingenious way, and then they're free, like by the hair of their chinny chin chin, they're free. And Odysseus stands up, bro, and they've blinded the Cyclops. Odysseus stands up and he just starts talking, like once they're shouting distance, and he just starts talking mad shit. Like he just starts flexing on him, literally just like taunting the fuck out of him. And the Titan Cyclops, he hears him, so he gets this enormous boulder, untold. You got to hear Homer's description of it, and just hurls it, and it just narrowly misses them, almost kills everybody, and it's enough to still create this huge wave that sends them back to shore. And his men are like rowing frantically for their lives and just begging Odysseus to shut up. But once he's shouting distance, bro, Odysseus stands up again, and he got away. He got away with his identity kept a secret, and his whereabouts unknown. And he stands up, and I'm paraphrasing, but he said, I've like looked at this line so much, bro, I like low-key have like memorized it. Cyclops, if any man on the face of the earth should ever ask who blinded you, shamed you so, tell them Odysseus, raider of cities, he gouged out your eye, son of Laertes, who makes his home in Ithaca, bro. Like, so he tells him his name, he tells him he did it, confessed to the crime, and he said exactly where he lives. And this ends up being like a major, but it's all about, bro, he's going down forever in fame for that, bro. He blinded a whole ass Cyclops who just low-key is Poseidon's son, bro. And look, we're talking about it now, so like, anyway, Odysseus is like the embodiment of that ethic. And speaking of ethic, I would say too, another part of his novel, and it's like weird to even point out with like everything I'm talking about, but in this book, okay, so I'm saying ethic because it's like, strangers and guests in this world are treated like royalty, bro. Like, this was the original Southern hospitality, but before they even, and it's like they say it because they do it because they're like, think about, and this is why it's an ethic, it's because like, think about the times we were traveling to other distant homelands away from our own, and they gave us food and place to stay, so we got to pay it forward. So they do that, but dude, they do it big, because it's like Odysseus and Telemachus, like these actually big people, but before they're even recognized, dude, and before they even ask your name, they're ushering you in. They're getting water ready for you to take a bath in this beautiful burnished tub, and you can get out and you get bathed, but pretty much by bad bitches, bro, with like olive oil, and they put warm fleece over you, and they sit you down. Bam, ooh, there's a table, gleaming table. They set out bread. They set out appetizers aplenty, and they got choice cuts of meat roasted on spits, bro. And this is before they even ask you your name. And then it's like, okay, now we sit down. Like, okay, who are you? What's your story? And usually these scenes, which come up all over the place, and they're just so luxuriant and opulent, elegant, like and the way Homer describes it is so beautiful. And it's like, all right, you're really there with them. And then usually what's about to happen is a conversation. And to me, some of the dialogue in this book, some of that is like my favorite part of the book in general, is just these conversations. It's just like so engaging, so sharp. And he puts the same level of like effort into the writing as everything else into the dialogue. And those are literally some of my favorite scenes. So again, people just built different. Like these are just the morals we're talking about. And then of course, bro, we're talking about the Odyssey. We're talking about like ancient Greece. So we have the gods, bro. The gods up on high on Olympus: Zeus, Athena, Poseidon, Hermes, Ceres, all of them, bro. And the thing about the gods is that they have the entire fate of everybody, anything in the world is just right in the palm of their hands, bro. It's right. The gods control everything. And the thing about the gods is there's a lot of them, and they don't agree all the time. In fact, they're bickering all the time, and they are petty. And there's just this whole drama that is unfolding up on Olympus, and it has direct implications for the mortals. And it's like you have the beasts and the mortals and the gods, and they're all interacting with each other, and like there's some cross interaction like that. And all of this is just told in Homer's writing, dude. Like that's what makes the book. Obviously, this book wouldn't have stood the test of time if the writing was not so good. Just in general, like this, and it's not even an exaggeration, I feel like, when I say it, even though it kind of sounds like it, to me, this is some of the best writing I've ever laid eyes on, bro. Like, and again, it sounds like an exaggeration, but like, just again, it's like there's a reason it's the most famous text in the history of literature. But just like anything there's good to do in a story, like imagery, amazing, masterclass, unparalleled, bro. Like literally jaw drop, and there's so many gems just like everywhere. They're not even gems, they're commonplace. It's like gravel. That's what the imagery is like in this book. And then characters, these are some very, like, these I think are characters with real complexity and real depth, and there are definitely some memorable ones. And then the dialogue, which again, some of my favorite parts of the book, page turning action and plot like that, with the centaur, or not the Cyclops and the underworld and all, dude, there's so much crazy shit happening. So you're just boom 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 boom, and the whole thing itself is a poem. This is written like a poem, and it's written in the whatever, I don't even know, but something pentameter. So it's got this rhythm to it, it's got this flow told in this noble language, and you just put all this together, and this is the story he's telling in one of the oldest, most famous texts in the world. Like it's quite the experience. And I'm definitely gonna revisit it. But okay, I think that's mostly all I had to say about it. I mean, not at all, of course, but needless to say, this is an A+. One of those A+s that makes me reconsider the entire scale. This way, if you look at my A+s historically, I could rank those books within them. So anyway, one thing I guess to note is this book is like, it's because it's so old, it's a little challenging, you know what I'm saying? And the verse is kind of weird to get used to, the pentameter, but so you kind of got to like, be ready for it. But for as effortful or challenging it pays off. Anyway, on to business. Follow me on Instagram at Big Nate's Book Reviews. Follow me on Goodreads, link in the description. And thank you for watching Big Nate's Book Reviews, home of the best book reviews.